Hey, very good evening, everyone, on this Christmas Eve where the rain's been coming down. 52 degrees in the Rose City with, we hate to break it to you, what appears to be a soggy stretch in your holiday forecast. David Molko here along with Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino. So Matt, walk us through the next 48 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be a wet Christmas for sure, especially Christmas night and into Thursday. It's been raining tonight, of course. Newport, the winds are settling down, but we had a gust of 37 miles an hour there earlier tonight and a gust of 40 miles an hour up at Tillamook. It's warm, it's wet, and it's going to get windy on the coast as well. That's one concern, but the bigger concern will be the rain coming to the valleys. Now, on the coast, the high surf warning for the northern coast has been allowed to expire. We still have it down in the southern counties here, and we still have a winter storm watch beginning Wednesday afternoon up in the Cascades. But this is for elevations that are above 4,500 feet. Notice there are no watches or warnings through the gorge. Even up Highway 26, you don't get into the watch until you're right at government camp because the snow level will simply be too high. But once you are in the snow zone, it is going to snow, and it's going to snow really, really hard up there. In Portland, though, it's a warm night right now, 51 degrees, a little bit breezy, but not bad, only 10 miles an hour at the moment. We'll actually get a little bit of a break from the rain during the day tomorrow. You can see the back edge is already beginning to approach the Willamette Valley. But we're going to call Wednesday night a weather impact alert period. Because of the heavy rain that's going to come, there could be ponding of water on roadways and in intersections, so you need to slow down, allow a little bit of extra space as you're driving home from your Christmas festivities, perhaps. So again, that'll be Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Heavy Cascade snow above about 4,500 feet, and wind at times at the coast. No wind warnings, but we'll be keeping an eye on all of this. David?
All right, Matt. See you in a few here. New tonight, some good news for a local nonprofit that was the victim of a recent burglary as authorities managed to track down the suspects, more than one, and some of the stolen equipment worth tens of thousands of dollars. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom with the update. Alma?
Well, David, we've covered a number of burglaries, and a lot of times I'm told no one's feeling all that hopeful that they'll ever see the stolen goods again. But in this case, small details and teamwork led detectives straight to the suspects.
Inside this Westland storage unit, Charles Lewis keeps his supplies for nonprofit home inspections.
We do home inspections on a sliding scale so that everybody can afford the benefits of a home inspection.
Although this is pretty specialized equipment, that didn't keep criminals from breaking in back in October. Lewis first got a motion alert from these Ring cameras on his phone.
I froze for about 10, 15 seconds and I was like, because I'm like, am I seeing this right? And when it was clear, yes, this is somebody really breaking in, I hit the alarm siren button, went off. Guy freaked out, grabbed a bunch of stuff and ran.
And although police searched the unit and secured the building, the thieves came back a couple hours later, grabbing everything from radon machines to sewer scopes.
A bunch of stuff, but total it was about $75,000 worth of stuff, and it was quite a haul and pretty devastating for small nonprofit to lose that much equipment that quickly.
Lewis assumed that would be the end of it until a burglary at this liquor store in Wilsonville.
The smallest thing can break cases like this, and it just takes everyone kind of throwing tips out there.
Detective Catlin Blythe with the Westland Police Department says he got several calls connecting both cases.
He told me that the suspect was wearing a very similar hat, which was the connection between the two, was the same hat.
Lewis noticed it too.
And I was like, that's the same guy. I was like, I could tell with the P, the same build, everything. I was like, that's the guy.
Now, after a couple months on the case, investigators served search warrants in Washington, recovering stolen property, including equipment from Lewis's storage unit.
So actually just earlier today, we were able to have the victim of that come back in and collect a bunch of the equipment. It wasn't every single piece, but it was majority of the pieces, which felt good to get back to him.
They had scratched off like serial numbers, so they were getting ready to sell it. So it was, again, the police moving quickly and stopping it before they could get it sold.
Now, Lewis tells me he doesn't think all of it could have been resold easily, especially the radon machines, which require a special code. The suspects in this case, Kyle Runyon out of Riderwood, Washington, and Jimmy Christia of Vancouver, were arrested and will face burglary and aggravated theft charges in Clackamas County. David?
Yeah, thank you, Alma. Appreciate the update on that one. Developing tonight, one person has been hurt following a crash this evening in southeast Portland. Police sharing these photos of the scene near Mount Scott and 112th, where investigators say a vehicle rolled over and then immediately caught fire. One person suffered significant injuries, though authorities were able to get them out and to the hospital. Drivers are being asked to avoid that area. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, an 18-year-old is facing multiple charges after deputies say he shot a 15-year-old in the hand. This was in the parking lot of the Clackamas Town Center on Friday afternoon. The sheriff's office says it arrested Pedro Cornejo Morales nearby. Cornejo Morales faces charges that include attempted murder and unlawful use of a weapon. 2 people are in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries after they were stabbed in what appears to be a random attack at a Northeast Portland hotel near the convention center. A witness says the suspect, who police identified as 18-year-old Shania Daniel, appeared to be destroying property at the Crown Plaza near Northeast 2nd and Weidler.
This guy was out there trying to calm her down, and she went after him and she was like, "I'm gonna kill you." I've never heard such a truly murderous rage come out of somebody.
Well, that's tragic. I mean, that's an awful thing to hear.
Well, police say a hotel worker and a guest were both stabbed, and at this point there's no clear motive. They arrested Daniel, who faces charges that include attempted murder. And a Clark County judge has set bail for a teacher at Vancouver's Hudson's Bay High School accused of sexual misconduct with one of his students at $100,000. Court documents indicate the case against Shad Breon Gatson stems from an alleged sexual relationship between him and a 16-year-old in 2013. Vancouver Public Schools says Gatson's been on leave since last month. In court, prosecutors added there might be an allegation involving another student from this year. Gatson's lawyer declined to comment. Well, speaking of schools, law enforcement descended on one high school in Hillsborough today to train for an active shooter. Joe Ranieri takes us there.
802, 1817, and 5801. You've been ADL'd for possible shooters. This will be at Glencoe High School.
The halls of Glencoe High School were turned into a training ground Monday as a parade of deputies with Washington County prepared for an active shooter.
We've been doing active threat training for over 20 years here in Washington County, and there has definitely been a shift as the types of attacks change.
Lieutenant John Crescelius with the Washington County Sheriff's Office says Monday's exercise was all about training and tactics.
We have about 50 role players, and it's extremely important for the police and firefighter students that are going through to have to assess what's going on.
Law enforcement respond even when threats turn out to be hoaxes. KGW investigators found those situations have been on the rise. Records from the Oregon Department of Education show over the last 3 years, there's been a jump in student discipline for threats of violence made on schools. And according to the FBI, there's been an increase in actual active shooter events across the country.
They've increased a little bit in the post-2020 era, I guess. The last number that I saw, I think there was 53 active threat events last year in the United States.
They also take lessons learned from other situations we've seen unfold from across the country, like in Uvalde, Texas in May of 2022.
What we need to do is pull the lessons learned out of that. And I believe strongly that a situation like Uvalde could not happen here.
And know what they learned here today.
The biggest key is to rapidly respond, to intervene.
Could help save lives for when this real-life training turns into a real-life emergency. Joe Ranieri, KGW News.
By the way, if you missed that KGW investigation Joe mentioned, just text the word hoax to 503-226-5088. We will text you back with a link to our story on how local law enforcement and schools are dealing with the rise in hoax threats. Developing tonight, a nationwide Starbucks worker strike is expected to continue with workers at about 60 stores nationwide on the picket lines, including in Oregon. Today, we saw some striking outside this location near Beaverton-Hillsdale Highway. And the Starbucks at 23rd and Burnside was closed with post-its on the door saying workers were striking over Starbucks' offer of a 1.5% raise. The workers' union called for the strike on Friday after talks stalled over wages, staffing, and scheduling. Okay, the holiday travel rush is on in a big way. If you're flying out of PDX, guess what? You want to keep an eye for brand new displays that could help you get through security that much quicker. How about that? Even a few minutes. TSA wait times for general boarding and TSA pre-check will now be posted right next to the arrivals and departures monitors under that timber roof there. Regardless of your concourse, if it's B or C or D or E, remember you can use either of the 2 security checkpoints. It all connects on the other side. Airport staff say travelers on domestic flights should show up 2 hours early. And if they are parking, not to forget to check on how full the lots are first. Officials are forecasting the busiest travel days to be December 27th, 30th, and New Year's Eve.